It's like Christmas Day all over again for head coach Fred Castro and his staff. Signing day, always a fun day, no matter the sport. He's Alex Jewell. I'm Greg Steiner. We're happy to have you tuned in for this signing day show here on Eagle All Access. What a fun show we have in store for you. We've got Coach Fred Castro to get his thoughts on the signing day class, video highlights of the newest signees, and he spends a little time with us talking you through the recruiting process, what he looks for. But Alex, you look at it, winners on the court and off is a big thing.
Oh, that's absolutely right, Greg. First off, it's great to be back with you. It's great that we're doing another signing day special. Look for these to continue on. An exciting time because we know that everything that changed with COVID and all of the challenges that have come about the last couple of years, it's just good to see names on paper, to know that a new, fresh group of Eastern Michigan Eagles is coming to town. And this group is only 3 deep, Greg, but it's a group that Coach Castro is really excited about. And you're right, not only because of the talent of players, and we're going to talk a lot about that, and this is a really talented bunch, but a lot of great off-court intangibles, and Coach is going to talk a lot about that with you and with me as we go on through this show.
Well, I think one of the things is he is very good at getting transfers into this program. We've seen that. But these are high school players. They will build the foundation and then add around, because we always know Fred has something in his pocket and the scholarship ready for when that big-time transfer's out there. But more importantly, they are very, very good high school student athletes.
They are, and it's college basketball today is changing, right? The transfer portal is so much different than it's ever been, really having to balance that. But at the end of the day, if you talk to Coach Castro and a lot of coaches around the league, it's still so important to go out and get program players that will be here for 4 or 5 years. That's what we've got in this year's signing class. 3 really special individuals that are going to come in and be a really good mix with already transfers that are here, players that have been here for a few years. So a lot of excitement around this basketball program. As you know, a lot of upgrades that have taken place, not only in the program, but around the facility. Their locker room has been redone. The room that we're standing in right now is a studio that we did not have. The Convocation Center continues to lead the way in the conference in terms of playing venues, just how good it is, and so much excitement around Eastern Michigan basketball and Eastern Michigan athletics. And I know this class is really the icing on the cake for Coach Castro.
You're stalling, Alex. Get to the good stuff. Tell us who Fred Castro and company have signed.
Well, we're going to let Coach talk a lot about it, but if you look at this class, it's 3 players we're going to highlight today. The first one is Derek Capaldi. She is a Madison Heights, Michigan native, and she's been playing her prep basketball in Indiana, but she'll come back to her home state of Michigan to play for Eastern next year. She's also joined by Olivia Smith, a guard out of Indiana from the Fort Wayne area. For those that don't know, Fort Wayne, a really heavy basketball area, Greg. So this player has a lot of experience. And then we're going to go down low, the position I love. Look at me. Sophia Nittinger, she comes in from Missouri, Webster Groves, and she's going to continue that Missouri pipeline that the Lewis sisters have already set, but a different type of center. I mean, you talk about athleticism, being able to get all over the court. I'm just getting excited thinking about it. Coach Castro and the staff are in love with it, and I think Eastern Michigan fans are going to grow to love all 3 of these players. So I think it's time for us to step aside, for you to sit down with Coach Castro and to get on with the show.
That's right, because Alex is so excited. Quick timeout. We're back after this.
Once upon a time. That's how great stories begin. Generations of dreams. This is where they got their start. Young minds like yours, searching for something better, pushing themselves to new heights, learning, challenging, building tradition, shaping tomorrow. At Eastern Michigan University, your once upon a time is waiting. Be true. EMU.
Welcome back to our signing day show alongside head coach Fred Castro. I'm Greg Steiner. Coach, a signing day experience none other that you've experienced. How difficult was this entire recruiting process through COVID, not having them on campus, a recruiting dead period? No one's ever been through it. There's no manual.
Yeah, a lot of figuring things out on the fly. I will say this recruiting class was probably a little easier than the previous recruiting class because the previous recruiting class didn't get to do official visits and things of that nature. So we progressed from that standpoint. But nonetheless, it had its difficulties. But all that being said, we're incredibly excited that we were able to get the quality of student athletes that we did.
That's one of the big things, continuing to get great students both on the floor and in the classroom, and you've been able to do that. We'll get into the full signing class with Alex to break them down in segment 3, but walk us through, how do you put together a class, decide, are you going to go more post players, more guards, or more athletes? How do you go about deciding how you want to build a class?
Yeah, obviously as you adjust your style of play, and then the need based, based on who's graduating, who's returning. Obviously the portal has changed a lot of what the prototypical recruiting system has been. And we've gotten our fair share of quality transfers. So that's made the adjustment. We've been really fortunate that a lot of these, 2 of the 3 that signed, both Olivia and Dara, are local, if you will, Michigan, Indiana. So we've got to see them for a while. We've known them. And then just throughout the July recruiting process, we got to see Sophia. And even though it was a little bit, it was enough to really excite us and really recruit her in an intense fashion.
When you look at rankings are important in a lot of ways. You've always found ways to get great signing classes put together. I know no one goes into it and says, I've got to sign a top player in X class, but you and your staff have found ways to do that.
Yeah, and you're right. I could care less about rankings. What I do care about is, does that person fit what we do and who we have here? And sometimes they happen to be a top 100 recruit, and obviously that's always great and exciting. And sometimes they're not on the radar at all. Courtney Lewis had 1 offer out of college, and she's a 1,000-point scorer here. So, the rankings really don't mean too much. What I really care about is, how do they translate to college, both academically and athletically, and how do they fit in with what we do.
One of the always fun things is to hear the stories that you come back from. We know that you get to see these kids' homes and their lives and be a part of their family. What's your favorite memory from the recruiting trail from when you were signing these 3 of being like, wow, that was a meal or a moment that stood out to me?
To me, it's really the process. Olivia Smith's been coming to our elite camp since she was an 8th grader. So I've seen her for the last 4 years grow every year. And, she always came in, her hair was always right, and she was always tenacious. And she always left here leaving an unbelievable impression. And then as you get to meet her mom and dad, you get to meet her sister, you understand why she is the way she is. And that's the process that I really enjoy. And then you understand why she's had the high school career that she's had. So to me, that's the part of the recruiting process that stands out to me, when you can have a prolonged recruiting period, and then you can really get to know a student athlete.
Getting to know a student athlete, but you're also thinking ahead. You're always that year ahead. Right. And now you've had 6 classes worth of signees. You still probably have some that you could always keep 1 and 2 in your pocket, but you're thinking ahead. How much does social media and even a building like we're standing in help things in the Convocation Center, and even a place like this where we didn't even have a year ago, to help bring the video and stuff to them? No,
you're absolutely right. And we've been able to sign top 50 recruiting classes consistently. We've been able to sign some really talented student athletes here, and it's a team, right? My staff works really, really hard. That being said, our facilities here are phenomenal. So the support that we get from administration is great. Our arena is beautiful. We have a beautiful basketball arena. And then the support staff that really pushes and shows what this place is about. For example, Lauren Day and the academic support, they do an unbelievable job explaining to the prospect how they're going to be supported academically. So it's really a team that allows these student athletes to feel comfortable with Eastern Michigan as a whole. The fact that we're located in such a good place, the airport is 20 minutes away. You can go watch a Pistons game. You can go watch a Lions game. There's so much to do. Jay-Z performed in our arena.
Yeah.
Lil Baby was in our arena, right? This is a place where you can get the full college experience, and that matters to a lot of student athletes.
I don't have any eligibility left. Can I still sign?
Sorry, Greg, I've seen your jumper.
Oh, I don't have a jumper, and we won't need one because that's why I'm here and he's coaching. We take one quick timeout. We're coming right back, and then we'll break down the class with some video. Stay with us.
Give Rise is really how we give back to our players, our students, both academically and athletically.
To me, Give Rise just means opportunities. Honestly, you give the opportunity and you become better than you thought you would be. So I just feel like the Give Rise is just all around amazing thing for everyone.
As a transfer student, I came to Eastern Michigan University and immediately saw how amazing this campus was. It's great to be here, and I'm very thankful to be given the opportunities that I've been given here at Eastern Michigan University.
It's easier to work that much harder every day when you know you've got the backing of donors, the financial support and resources that goes hand in hand with that. Our players know it and they feel it, and I promise you they're very appreciative of it.
Welcome back to the signing day show here for Eastern Michigan women's basketball. Alex Jewell stepping in for Greg Steiner now, and Fred Castro still back with us for another segment. Coach, we've talked a lot about the process of recruiting, how you really went out and got 3 players to come sign. Now let's talk about the players that we'll be seeing in the green and white for hopefully years and years to come, hopefully bringing us many championships along the way. I know that's the goal, and let's jump in right with Dara Capaldi. This is a freshman coming in out of Madison Heights, Michigan, but doing a little prepping in Indiana. What's it about her that drew you to this player specifically?
I think it's her overall game, right? She's a big guard, has really good athleticism, someone that can get to the rim and finish at the rim, something that you don't typically see in women's basketball. And then she also comes from a basketball family. Her brother played college ball. He's currently a college coach, and you can see it in her. You can see how she thinks the game, how she preps, how she prepares, and how she works to get better. And once we got her on campus and we got to know her and her family, it was a no-brainer that she fits with what we currently have and would just enhance our roster.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about Dara's numbers, but before we do that, let's take a look at some quick highlights. Well, you just took a look at Dara Capaldi's highlights from La Lumiere in Indiana. She's a Madison Heights, Michigan native, but doing her prepping down in Indiana. And Coach, when you talk about a guard like this, someone who's really, really versatile on the court, you look at her numbers in high school, averaging in her last season 18 points a game, adding 8 rebounds to that, another 5 assists, and she's also averaging 2 blocks per game. It's not every day a guard is doing all of that on so many facets of the game.
Right. We're a defensive-minded ball club, so that's a big part of what I look for, the ability to be an elite defender. I think Dara has that. She already has the athleticism and the mindset of somebody that wants to lock up and be a great teammate. But the best basketball, her ceiling is so high because of her skill set, her ability to shoot the 3, and then her work ethic. I really think she's going to grow by leaps and bounds offensively, and she's already a pretty good offensive player. So those are the kind of things that I was really intrigued by in her game as a whole.
You've also talked a lot about her IQ, her basketball IQ. It's not just on the court where she can be a special player.
Yeah, she's one of those kids that, pays attention to the details. She wants to keep improving. She's one of those young women that is never satisfied, right? She can have a great game like you just talked about her stats, but then she goes back and analyzes and say, I could have done this better. I could have helped here. I could have been better. And that's a different kind of, player, and that mentality is really good. So those are the things that I think really are going to make her at the college level even that much more impactful.
This is somebody, too, who has been an all-county, all-conference type of player, has gone on a championship run with her high school team. Are those experiences intangibles that help a player when they get to college?
Yeah, all three of these young ladies come from winning programs, and they've won big. They know the culture of winning. They know the work ethic of winning. They know the sacrifices that need to be made in order to have winning programs. I think they are very much a we-type mentality, a team-type mentality, and they've seen it and they've done it. And that's something that they don't necessarily have to learn from scratch. Obviously, it's a little bit different at the college level, but they understand it's about coming here, competing and winning, and competing for championships.
Well, she'll be joined by another guard in the class, Olivia Smith, another Indiana product. This one is her home state. She comes from the Fort Wayne area. For those that don't know, Fort Wayne is a highly, highly competitive basketball area, huge in the AAU circuit, huge in the high school circuit, so certainly some good basketball experience that Olivia Smith is going to bring to the Eagles when she comes to Ypsilanti next year. Coach, what's your rundown on Olivia Smith?
You know, I had made a conscientious decision that we were not going to recruit small guards anymore. And Olivia Smith will probably be the last small guard we recruit here. And it's because she brings so much to the table. She is a tenacious defender. She might be 5'5", but she plays like she's 6 foot. She can shoot the three. She can get to the rim and finish against bigs. She can get to the rim and find the open teammate. But her tenacity and her will to win is unbelievable. I've seen her every year, and she plays every drill, every game, every opportunity is to stop the opponent. And I love that about her.
Well, let's take a look at some highlights from Olivia Smith. Coach, you see the highlights from Olivia Smith, your newest guard from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and you talk about that tenacious play that she's clearly displayed. But you've also mentioned it a little bit with Greg. This is a player you knew about well before high school because she's been coming here to Ypsilanti to your camps for quite some time.
Yeah, and she's been coming here, but she's a known name in the AAU circuit. She plays for Always 100 team that every year produces multiple Division I players, and specifically that go in the MAC and do really well. But she's a young lady that I've got to see grow. You know, she used to not be able to shoot it. She used to not always know how to guard certain actions. But you can tell that she's worked on it. She is a Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., shoot, work out for an hour, and then go to school. And those, they just don't grow on trees anymore. Those young people that work the way that she does are really hard to find. And that work ethic, to me, it was just, that's the kind of, at the position of point guard, you want to have someone that's going to lead in that fashion with the work mindset.
Well, Olivia is clearly a player that doesn't need to come necessarily just to your camp to be known. She's good enough that you would have noticed her anyways. But I've noticed in talking to you and some of the things you've said about her, you really did have an eye for her as soon as she got to campus. Every time she made an impression. And so I know we're talking about Olivia, but for those recruits and the future recruits that may be watching, it makes a big difference when you can come and get to know a coaching staff and start to see their system and understand the university. So it's something that really is not a waste, it's a beneficial thing.
You know, the one thing that really endeared me to Olivia is that she always wanted to be here. You could tell she came every year, whether we invited her or not. She would come to games on her own. Her family would come to games. They would come to practice. You can tell Eastern Michigan, in her mind, was a perfect fit. And as she kept developing and we got to know her more, it was just a match that made sense. So there's a lot of value to wanting to be someplace, and it's clear, and she's made it evident that she wants to be at Eastern Michigan, and that's no small deal for a player that is as talented and was recruited as hard as she was.
Well, someone who you want to talk about tenacious as a 5'5" guard, pulling in 4 rebounds per game. That does not happen a lot at the high school level with that size. Oh, and by the way, she's an all-star in the state of Indiana, a basketball state, as we all know. So that is something tough to do. We've talked about both of the guards that you'll be bringing in with this class. Now it's time to go down low in the post, and that's what Sophia Nittinger is going to bring to your program. This is a 6'2" center from Webster Groves, Missouri. You already have 2 Missouri players on the team. Have the Lewis sisters opened up a little bit of a pipeline for you?
I certainly hope so. They certainly haven't hurt us. I got to see Sophia this summer for a snippet. I had never seen her before. I was actually walking to another game, and I see this 6'2". I think she's 6'3".
Well, we're going to argue about that. She said 6'2". You told me 6'3". We'll see what the official media guide says.
I can't wait to get her in shoes and get her here. But she's I watched her just out of the corner of my eye, and she was flying down the court. And it made me stop, and I watched, and I was really shocked that I was the only person watching that game. And then I just kept watching her, and you know, her athleticism with her size, you can tell she's got that mentality of see ball, get ball. And she chased down every loose ball, and I loved her motor combined with her size and athleticism.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights from the newest center to come to Ypsilanti, Sophia Nittinger. Well, there you have it. Coach Castro talks about the motor. It's clear on display in the highlight film. And when you talk about a player that can change a game, down low, it can make a big difference, especially in this conference. We've seen what you already have with players like Sanara Scanes, Rajon Harris. It's now someone in Sophia Nittinger that can really not only play down low, but spread it out a little bit. One stat that I noticed from her high school days, last year she had 57 blocks.
Yeah.
What does that say about her defensive ability?
Yeah, I think it goes back to see ball, get ball, right? And then combine that with her size and athleticism. She's very disciplined. She's one of those that knows how to block a shot without fouling. And it's one of those talents that you either have or you don't, and she very clearly has it. Her ability to run the floor really excites us, and she's going to fit really well in terms of our overall defensive and offensive philosophy.
Yeah, you say that her athleticism will fit with your brand of basketball. How do you see a player like her transitioning when she comes to college and really expanding her game?
Yeah, the good thing is the base is there, right? It's a matter of learning the system as a whole, but a lot of it is the mindset, right? And she is somebody that wants to play fast, wants to guard in a certain fashion. I don't know that we've had a post player that's had her shot blocking mentality. So I think it'd be nice to add that to our already stingy defense. And then, like I said, I just love how she runs in the open floor. And she's one of those unique athletes that it seems like she never gets tired. You just see her do it over and over and over again. And that's tough when you can constantly put fresh players in that put that kind of pressure on both the defensive and offensive end.
Well, and so often we talk about playing not only high school basketball, but also playing travel basketball, AAU basketball. But I know that you're a coach that is not opposed when you get recruits that are indulging in other sports as well. And Sophia has really excelled on the volleyball court too. How much can it help a player when you've got so much experience in different sports? And volleyball, not an easy sport, and you have to be an athlete. We know that.
Yeah, and I got a little chuckle out of it because, you know, so many young women, student athletes are going to play volleyball. It's nice to keep one playing basketball, you know, when you see them walking down the halls or you see them in the mall and you're like, that should be a basketball player, and then you find out they're a volleyball player. I love our volleyball team, but I'd love to see those 6'2", 6'3" young ladies that can run or aggressive and have a knack for the game and get that opportunity. And I think her best basketball is really ahead of her because she's been a multi-sport athlete. She's never really focused on basketball, and now she's going to get the opportunity to do so.
Well, Coach, it's pretty clear that you're excited about these three signees. Eastern Michigan fans should be excited about these three signees. What is the class overall? What's your feel on the class overall and what they're going to bring to Eastern Michigan starting next year?
Yeah, I think the combination of it gives us a little bit at every position, right? Point guard, wing, post player, the balance that allows us to have added depth and talent. But more so than anything, I think it's the culture, the mindset of what it takes to win. And all three of these student athletes have a winning mentality. So you can never have too many winners around you, right?
Well, and I know that obviously there's a lot of excitement about these three players, but a group that you always like to talk about is the players that you have here now and the coaching staff that you also have. What have those two groups that are already so intertwined in the program meant to building your recruiting classes and helping you with that?
Yeah, and my staff does an unbelievable job in terms of reaching out to the recruits, getting real information, building relationships with the coaches, the family members, the people that are impactful in the recruiting process. But our biggest recruiting tool are our players. They are the program. The program revolves around those guys and how do we make their experience one that they leave here at a memorable experience, right? And when we bring in recruits, one of the first things we do is we have them meet the players. Because the players are the ones that can really tell a student athlete what their experience is going to be like, what they've experienced here at Eastern Michigan. So I'm incredibly grateful to our players for the way that they help us in the recruiting process.
Well, Coach, we can't thank you enough for joining us on the Signing Day show. And of course, we know you're in the middle of your season, so good luck the rest of the way. Let's get a championship this year, and before we welcome in these three newest Eagles and get them on the court next year with the green and white.
Thanks, Alex.
Give Rise is a difference maker. It's taking Eastern Michigan, as well as all the student athletes, to the next level. It's transitioning our university into greatness. That's why it's so important for each and every one of us to be a part of this mission, to help Eastern Michigan get to where we need to be.
For us, student athletes, someone like me, it just takes all the stress outside of the basketball court off of us so we can just focus on just the game and our schoolwork, and we don't have to focus on other things that could distract us or make it harder for us to perform out there.
Give Rise means positive opportunity or positive influence on Eastern's campus. It's great knowing that there's going to be more opportunities for students at Eastern in the future.
Give Rise is going to make student life the way we all want it to be. You're going to get top-ranked facilities, top-ranked academics, top-ranked educators. So all those things are going to enhance the life of these young men as they transition into the real world.
Well, you've seen the highlights, you've seen the names, and you've heard from Coach. What more could you ask for on the Signing Day special? We hope you've enjoyed it. Final thoughts, Alex?
Well, I think the final thoughts are this. You heard Coach Castro talk a lot about it, whether it was with you or with me. This class is really, really exciting, and it's really great when you think about all the strides this program has already made, all the great players we already have here. I think these three players are going to step right in and do a fantastic job. I think it's really exciting for Eastern Michigan fans, Greg, because it's clear that there's plenty to look forward to in the years ahead. So we're going to let these players finish up their high school careers. They've still got some championships to win and some records to set, the ones they already have not won and set, which have been pretty plentiful. But when they get to Eastern Michigan, they'll be ready to play, and they'll be ready to excite the fans here on campus.
Speaking of exciting the fans, we want to see you at the Convocation Center very soon. Make sure to come out to the Convo, cheer on your Eagles, or if you can't, make sure you watch Alex and I on one of the ESPN family of networks. Thanks for watching our Signing Day show from the Convocation Center. For Alex Jewell, I'm Greg Steiner saying thanks for watching.